Hey y'all, so I'm starting with the 17 ounce all-in-one from Craft Haven. I like it. It doesn't have any taper to it, and I've just sanded it, wiped it down with rubbing alcohol. I spray painted it white with Rust-Oleum's 2X matte white, and now I'm adding some cat scratch sheets. So these are the double-sided adhesive sheets that I use. They're made by brand Eden. I will have them linked in the description box below. They're in my Amazon's favorite things list, and I basically just cut it down to size for the 17 ounce all-in-one, and I'm just going to remove the backing now, and I'm just going to fold a little bit of it down. You can see I'm just going to fold a little edge of it down, make sure it goes on the cup straight, and then I'm just going to double check that I've got my line straight here, and it is going to wrap all the way around and it's straight, so I'm not going to end up with one edge higher than the other one, which I do a little bit on this one. I didn't cut this on the 20 ounce skinny straight. I have a measurement that I usually use, but the 17 ounce all-in-one I didn't. I just kind of free-handed cut it to where it would fit around the cup. So I knew I was going to have a little bit to trim off at the end, but I basically just lay that first little edge down. And then just like I do a vinyl wrap, I'm going to allow the pressure of me applying the double-sided adhesive sheet to the cup to actually peel off the backing at the same time. So I don't pull off the complete back. I just kind of do it as I'm pressing around, as I'm pressing that double-sided adhesive sheet down, going around the cup. You can see it's kind of just working that bottom sheet off at the same time. And because here on this one, I kind of just freehanded it, you can see I'm just taking my fingernail, I'm just running it right down the edge, so I'll have a good crisp seam to take my craft knife and just trim off the excess there. And then I just lift that right off. You can see there's a little place here that didn't get trimmed quite as well as I wanted to, so I just turned the cup around, trimmed it up, and you can see it's a perfect seam now. And then there was a little bit left on on the top where it wasn't exactly even. So I'm just going to go in with my craft knife here, and it's a little bit trickier, especially than vinyl, to trim here. But yeah, just trim off the excess, just so I won't be dealing with that after I get the foil applied. And as soon as I get the excess trimmed off, I've got a sheet of these easy release foils from Southern Belle Glitter. This is actually, the name of this one is Wanda. I really like this. It's like a holographic with almost a grid pattern that kind of has a coral, I call it a cloud background. So it's not a solid coral, it just kind of has these little images, and once I get it on the white, you'll see what I'm talking about, but it's really, really pretty. So you can see I just kind of peeled back the top shiny side of the double-sided adhesive sheet, and I'm going to lay my foil right down on the edge of that seam. So because this was a grid pattern, I knew that it needed to line up fairly straight, or it was going to look kind of, you know, I want to use the word cattywampus, but it won't look straight on the cup, basically. So, and then I'm just going to do it just like I do my vinyl as well. I'm just going to allow the pressure of me placing the foil onto the double-sided adhesive sheet to peel the backing off at the same time, or in this case, the top carrier sheet. So once I get the foil wrapped all the way around, I'm going to just make sure it lays down really smooth, and I'm going to take a burnishing stick. These come with the rub-on transfers from Southern Belle Glitter, and I just kind of rub it around it, and then you can see these come right off. They're very easy to apply to these double-sided adhesive sheets. I'm just going to go back down the seam right there to make sure that's covered, and you can see how pretty this one is. So I decided that I was going to layer some BAMF semi-transparent vinyl over it. But I'm also going to cut a little circle here out of the double-sided adhesive sheet because I didn't have the exact measurements. And this has like a ridge on the bottom of the cup. You can see I just pressed it down. I'm going to go in with my scissors, and I'm basically just going to cut this circle out. You definitely can do this with your Cricut. It's kind of got a lip down in there, so I knew that if it wasn't the exact measurements, I could kind of press it down. And with this foil, you're basically not going to be able to tell that's not the perfect circle on the bottom. But if you're doing like a skinny 20 ounce skinny straight, and you do have that bottom that kind of stands up that doesn't have the lip inset like this one does, you might want to measure that and actually cut it out with your Cricut or your Silhouette. Then I'm just going to remove the backing, and I'm going to place this down inside this little lip. You can kind of see it's kind of inset on the bottom of this cup. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this right down on the cup, and then I'm going to take a little bit of my foil. And then also, if you lay these down on here and you've got any kind of air bubbles in there, just take your craft knife, and I do it right here before I even pull this off. You can see I just went in and kind of took my craft knife and punctured the air bubble and laid it down flat. And now I'm just going to do, just like I did on the cup, I'm just going to apply the foil over it, kind of press it down and make sure that it's right around that edge, and then just peel that off, and you're going to have the bottom coverage just like you do on the side with those double-sided adhesive sheets. Now I'm going to go in with this BAMF. I love these muted colors that she's come out with. So gorgeous. This is a boho floral, and it's so pretty. I knew that I wanted to pair this with the Wanda foils. I just thought it would be so pretty laying over it, where it'd give like a little bit of sparkle in the background. So I basically I use my cutter to cut it down to size here to fit the cup, and just give me a little bit of overhang on the top and the bottom. And then here again, just like I've done everything else, I just kind of fold that first little edge of the backing back, and then I'm just going to line this up perfectly with that same seam I've been using the whole time. That's giving me that, you know, square look here on the cup, so it doesn't end up all sideways and not look like it's going to fit perfectly on here. And then I'm just going to wrap it right over. I didn't do a layer of epoxy or anything, y'all. I just applied the foil to the double-sided adhesive sheet. Now I'm applying this piece of BAMF semi-transparent vinyl. I will link everything that I use in the description box below, so if you're all looking for all of these, look in the description box below, and I'll have some discount codes included for y'all too, so make sure you don't miss the discount codes. And you can see I do this just like any other vinyl wrap. Again, I'm just allowing the pressure of me placing it on the cup to peel the backing off at the same time. And this is kind of how I apply all my vinyl, y'all. I hold it with one hand and I just run my thumb down, back and forth, side to side, so that way it makes sure this doesn't get any bubbles. But I encourage you just to kind of find what works for you. That's just kind of the method that works for me. You know, with the cups facing towards me, and I can just kind of run my thumb back and forth. And then I'm going to trim off the excess here, right here at my seam. And I'm going to lay my piece of tape. So y'all probably see me do this. I'm actually going to do it on here too, just so I have a little bit of overlap. I just wanted those to meet really well. I didn't want it to be where there would be any chance of it pulling away when I applied epoxy to it. So I've just laid a piece of painter's tape down right on top of the, you know, where I started laying the semi-transparent vinyl. And that gives me a seam, and it gives me a place really that's going to allow me to cut a really crisp line here down on the semi-transparent vinyl, where it'll give me just barely a little bit of overlap. And when I say overlap, y'all, I'm talking about like less than 1 millimeter. I leave just a little bit of overlap, just enough where that vinyl will lay on top of itself where I'd previously placed it down. So when you go to apply your epoxy, there's no chance of that kind of lifting and splitting apart. Then I'm just going to peel that excess off. I'm going to pull my tape up as well. And then I'm just going to trim off the excess on the top and the bottom, just like I would any vinyl wrap. And I'll also link some videos in the description box below where I go more in depth about how I vinyl wrap cups if you guys are interested. So those will be linked, some related videos that might be helpful, where I do spend a lot more time on my techniques for vinyl wrapping a cup. And I'm just going in here and trimming off the top. You'll see me just I just take my craft knife, I run it right along the edge of the top and the bottom, just like I do regular vinyl. I didn't have any trouble with it. I actually love this 17-ounce all-in-one because it has a very clean, crisp bottom, and the vinyl will trim just right off the edge. And then after I get all the excess trimmed off, I am going to go into a layer of epoxy before I do my decal, just because I was going to use some textured rose gold vinyl, and I didn't want it to have, I want it to be able to be smooth on the cup. So here I'm using about 15 to 20 milliliters of Counterculture's medium viscosity artist resin. I've mixed that up, and I'm just applying that to the cup. I will use my torch to pop any bubbles, and I only have to do one coat. So y'all, at this point, it's basically got double-sided adhesive sheet, your foils, the BAMF vinyl, one layer of epoxy. I'm going to go in to apply my decal, and you can see this is one of the files from Letter by Stephanie, and I thought it was the perfect one for this. And then I apply another layer, and I'm done. And I apologize for not recording, placing the decal and the layer of epoxy. I'll link some other videos you guys can watch. This is a Letter by Stephanie file, and I will link the vinyl that I use in the description box below. So thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss my future tutorials. Thanks so much.